Shayna Vanessa is a Panamanian vlogger and entrepreneur whose great-grandparents migrated or immigrated from Jamaica during the building of the canal. She's zooming in now to talk about her lifelong love affair with all things Jamaican. Shayna, good morning to you and welcome. Bienvenido a Smile Jamaica. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm going to say you're fluent in Spanish.
Claro que sí.
Claro que sí. I'm going to also say you're fluent in Patois.
Exactly.
I'm going to say you're fluent in English.
Correct.
I'm going to say you lived in the US at one point, so you're fluent in American. A joke, but it's not really a language.
Yes.
But my goodness, talk about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Your story is so very unique. You were born in Panama, correct?
Yes.
But your parents have Jamaican roots? Or say your grandparents have Jamaican roots?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
So the way it works is that a lot of us, what you would consider, in those times, they would consider us chumbos, who are descendants of Caribbean people and Jamaican people. That's what they would consider someone that looked like me in Panama.
Well, what do they call you? Chombos?
Chumbos. Chumbos.
Okay.
Yeah. At the time, it was a derogatory word, and it was used to differentiate the Caribbean West Indian Black people from the Black people that descended from African slaves that came to America, well, they were shipped to Panama. So that was a difference.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Okay. Understand. Okay, so it was a pejorative term. So born in Panama, and then you went to the US to live. So the assimilation now from Panama to los Estados Unidos, how was that?
So the thing is, I moved to Brooklyn when I was months old. So growing up and being born from immigrants' parents in the United States was very difficult. I suffered a lot with identity issues because although we are from Panama, my parents they weren't specific or typical Spanish-speaking people. They had a dialect that was very similar to Jamaican dialect, which is what you would consider patois. And a lot of times people would often say, well, where are you guys from? At one point, I didn't even know where I was from because I didn't fit in with the Hispanic people and I didn't fit in totally with the
Caribbean people.
Right. Didn't finish with the American people neither, because at that time in the 80s, Americans weren't too receptive to immigrants.
Right.
So growing up, I suffered a lot with identity issues, but we had a community of Panamanians that we latched onto. And honestly speaking, the major parts of the Caribbeans that really embraced us were other Jamaican people because we shared so many similarities. So most of my friends were either Jamaican or Panamanians that were like me, descendants of Jamaican people.
Wow, that's
or
amazing.
Asian people.
Okay, so tell me about the vlog now. So you love Jamaica. You've been here? You must have.
Of course.
Okay, just I wasn't sure, so I had was to ask you. And you vlog about all things Jamaica, and you love Jamaican culture. Tell me a little bit about that connection that you feel with this little piece of the world, of the rock.
So what people do not understand about Panama is that within Panama, there are subcultures within the culture, right? Just like in any part of the world, like the United States of America, you have, your Caribbean culture, your Hispanic culture. Panama is just the same. And I think a lot of people get very confused with that. When I started my YouTube channel, I started documenting around the time of COVID, and I really started talking about me and my experiences growing up and why people really just didn't understand or why I couldn't fit in what you would consider Afro-Latina, right? So I started talking about my parents, how they would speak, the food that we eat. We eat patties just like you guys do in Jamaica. We escabeche fish, rice and peas,
dumplings, chicken,
brown food,
curry goat.
all that. We eat all of that. And people were like, but I thought that in Panama they eat empanadas. Yes, that is true. But again, there are subcultures
Correct.
within the culture.
Correct.
And that's what actually exploded my YouTube channel, because people became very intrigued in me, my culture, and what made me actually decide to move back to Panama, because oftentimes you don't see people moving back to certain countries.
So that was actually my next question, because you moved back in 2014 and you took his son with you.
I did. His father's actually Jamaican, and he was 100% agreeant with me. There's something about being raised in the Caribbean that's completely different from American culture. I was not raised or grew up in Panama. My parents did send me back for the summertime, but it's not the same when you're visiting and when you're actually living, right? But one of the things that I admire the most about my parents is that they always instilled cultural values in me, which has made me the woman that I am right now. And I wanted to give that same thing to my son at the time. I only had a son at the time, right? And I feel that raising my son back in the Caribbean, back in Panama, actually instills certain values in him that he would not be able to get in the US, unfortunately.
Wow. Girl, this is really a fantastic story of finding oneself. I mean, you have so many different layers. And about the fact that none of us are any one thing. You know, we're comprised of so many different things, and that's the beauty of what makes us human beings and what makes us who we are. So you are, how would you then describe yourself? You are not Afro-Latina, you are not Afro-American, you're not Latino-American. How would you, or you don't subscribe to no label at all?
Well, here in Panama, what they would consider people like you and I are Afro-Antillians. Panama is very embracive of Jamaican culture because we have such a huge relationship with Jamaica because of the building of the canal. For example, we still eat bun and cheese. Can you imagine that? Even people that are not Afro-Antillian like you and I, they have embraced Jamaican culture so much that there are certain aspects of Jamaica that they still do here in Panama because of the influence of those people that came to Panama during those times to build the canal.
Gotcha. Wow. Bun and cheese, patty. Well, of course, which is right. Shayna, where do we find your vlog? For folks who want to go learn a little bit more about what you're doing, where do we find you?
You can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is @VGirl_TV, VGirlTV. You can find me on Instagram as well. I am _V Monroe. There I share a lot of my life living in Panama. I also have vlogs with me being in Jamaica as well, and me looking for my family. That's from Westmoreland also. A little bit of history lesson there.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So it's all there. So we can go and check it out and see. I'm going to come to Panama because I hear the shopping is amazing.
Yes, girl. Come. And when you come, stop at my beauty supply store also.
What's your businesswoman too? We need a little more time. That's another interview for another time. Thank you very much, Shayna. So nice to meet you.
You're welcome.
To learn more about your fantastic story. Vlogger and entrepreneur, Shayna Vanessa. Stick with us, everybody. We're talking about women and disaster management. When we come back, it's a Girl Power Tuesday. You're watching Smart Jamaica.